Hey, so last year, Nicki Minaj fans tried to kill me. I'm kidding, but for a second there, I was convinced that I was going to end up in the Shade Room as the third and final entrant into the Rap Royal Rumble. It was going to be me, Doja Cat, and Nicki Minaj. And I was going to lose, obviously, but I was leaving here with something.
I'm from around the way. I'm leaving with something.
For those of you who don't know, my boss is Shanspeare, and they keep me locked down in their basement while I edit all of their videos and write all of their scripts. Around May of last year, I published Just Say You Hate Women, which is a video essay about misogyny in pop culture and how we use various forms of media to abuse women. Doja Cat reposted that video on her Twitter. Now, using context clues.
Last year, Nicki Minaj fans tried to kill me.
How do you think that went? A, everything's copacetic. B, people were normal. Or C, I opened my comment section to find my exact coordinates posted by someone with a super base profile picture. Lock in your answer. So in that essay, I talked briefly about Megan Thee Stallion and the hate campaign that she's been facing since 2020. And I mean briefly, it is brief. The section is maybe 10 minutes tops out of an hour plus long video. I mainly focused on the abuse Megan experienced at the hands of Tory Lanez and other men in the industry who took Tory's side, but I also covered the so-called rap beef between Megan and Nicki. In 2024, I think Megan released Hiss, which features the lyrics, "These hoes don't be mad at Megan, these hoes mad at Megan's Law." And Megan's Law refers to a law that requires offenders to publicly register on a database. Nicki Minaj, whose husband is on said database, took that personally and proceeded to crash out about it on Twitter and live stream for multiple days. She stuttered her way through nonsensical bars, made fun of Megan for getting shot, fragment foot, contradicted herself by claiming that Megan was never shot, and then made fun of Megan's deceased mother. Lied on her dead mama, right after the funeral. So much so that the cemetery that her mother is buried at had to reportedly up their security. Now, every time I recount that very real sequence of events that happened, Barbz are always like, "You are so one-sided." Yeah, so are you. Bitch, it's pop culture. It's not rocket science. Bias is inevitable here. I'm allowed to be put off by Nicki Minaj's behavior, just as I am allowed to be put off by anyone else's behavior. No one can bully me out of that opinion, especially not a stan. Anyway, girl, they were on me. Barbz were on me like white on rice. They didn't like that my video mentioned Nicki Minaj, and they certainly didn't like that Doja Cat, of all people, retweeted it. Lucky for them, she has since deleted the tweet, but I was there scrolling the fuck out of those quote tweets before she did, okay? Barbz were calling her ugly, they were calling her a flop, they were calling her a fake Barb. Girl, they were remixing it. They were calling her a fake ugly Barb flop. When they were done with her, they realized that I was still breathing, and so naturally,
oh no.
Say something to me! You recording me?
there were some really good tweets that I believe are integral to the thesis of this video. Thesis, girl, it's not an essay, but unfortunately I didn't save any of those tweets because I didn't think that the tweet would be deleted. And now they're gone forever. I remember the gist of them though, so you'll just have to take my word for it. I don't know. A lot of them refer to how black and fat I am because that's what someone who spends a hobbyless amount of time on the internet, especially Twitter, thinks is insulting. Someone called me a big black BBW, and I remember that because I thought it was a little repetitive, but also just kind of sweet. Like, you think I'm thick?
Adam, am I thick yet?
Someone called me bald too, I think, which...
Shake your dread!
I got hair, so... Pepper. Okay, let me let my cat in. Hold on. I do have some screenshots for you because Barbz were also in the comment section of Shanspeare's video essay. People were calling me an opportunistic liar who is biased against Nicki Minaj, which is, I believe, categorically untrue. I don't know how to take an opportunity to save my life. Ask my spirit guides. But let's be earnest for a second. I'm not a hating ass bitch. I hate on you from an honest, nuanced, and informed point of view. Okay, I used to love Nicki Minaj. I think that she is one of the most skilled, influential, and iconic rappers in history, not just as a woman rapper, but as a rapper, period. What put a bad taste in my mouth is how she's handled up-and-coming artists in the industry and how she has consistently and allegedly platformed and sympathized with abusers. Another accusation I got from Barbz is that I am a Megan fan, so that means that I am biased against Nicki Minaj. The issue with that is, I'm a grown-ass adult. I'm able to like someone's artistry without becoming violently and delusionally devoted to them. Whether I like Megan's music or Nicki's music or Bjork's music, goddamn, fuck, nothing matters because I don't form my moral compass by those things. My superficial interest in another human being that I will never know ever won't steer me towards anti-black, fatphobic, or far-right bigotry. Can you say the same thing, Barb? Over the years, Nicki Minaj has become harder to defend, and yet a large portion of her stans are still willing to contort their morals, views, and dignity to play guard dog on a sinking ship. She has been stuck in a revolving door of primarily one-sided beefs with up-and-coming women in the industry for years now. Her fans defend that by saying that she is traumatized by the industry or that this endless list of women is antagonizing her. Oh, well, she hit me first kind of rhetoric that's popular with toddlers. And I do think it's true that Nicki Minaj has faced a lot of misogyny, specifically misogynoir over the years, and the industry has been very unkind to her. However, Nicki also has a history of defending her husband and allegedly defending her brother, as well as working with convicted predators. You can't choose your family, trust me, I know, but you can choose who you defend. None of this is strictly a Nicki Minaj problem. There are scores of other celebrities who go out of their way to protect those who commit or believe in gendered violence, white supremacy, and etc. A lot of them are men, a lot of them are white, and a lot more of them are both. The thing is, though, right now, we're talking about Nicki Minaj. We have talked about Drake and Snoop Dogg and Ludacris and Morgan Wallen and God knows who else, and we'll whack them again later. But this video is about Nicki, and the internet has been begging her stans to contend with this stuff for years now. I'm not even talking about holding Nicki Minaj accountable. I don't know if that's possible on the internet, and I don't think that you can really do that with someone you don't know personally. I'm just saying that you don't have to get on Twitter and do mental gymnastics trying to justify her actions. Like, oh, Nicki Minaj is playing chess, not checkers. She's rubbing elbows with a white supremacist, and you are 33 years old. We have always been a very ultra-conservative, downright fascist nation, right? But there have been blips in pop culture where it seemed like progress was being made, superficial progress, but that's done. It's over. Open and unapologetic bigotry is the law of pop culture landscape now. By becoming enmeshed in stan culture and by lacking key critical thinking skills and a spine, you run the risk of supporting and even becoming said bigots. Just to clarify, being a stan doesn't mean being a fan. It's not the same thing. You can be a fan of someone and be relatively normal, right? There are plenty of regular Nicki Minaj fans who have been vocal in their criticisms of her and who have even left the fandom, especially now that she is undeniably MAGA. The term stan necessitates obsession. An obsession that goes beyond anything a casual listener or fan would harbor. I've seen people credit Eminem for the word. Eminem is another one. Don't get me started on Eminem. Oh my god. And they also credit him with the culture surrounding it because he released a song in 2000 titled Stan, which is written from the viewpoint of a superfan who commits violence and self-harm in a quest to get recognized by Eminem. I don't think all or even most stans would murder someone or hurt themselves in the name of their fave, but I do think that a lot of stans are okay with committing digital violence against others, mainly because they don't think it has any repercussions or they don't view people on the other side of the screen as people. Also, the anonymity of it all allows them to be as violent and as bigoted as they want to be because they don't have to attach their face or name to it. These crusades primarily happen against marginalized groups. Stans don't see a separation between themselves and their favorite public figure. An attack on Nicki Minaj, for instance, is an attack on every single barb. And so they take to Twitter or my YouTube comment section to soothe that hurt. Unfortunately, when their fave is as conservative and as bigoted as Nicki Minaj, and you can debate whether she actually is MAGA or if she's doing it for her own selfish gain, it doesn't really matter because it's worse to be performative about it, isn't it? Regardless, those barbs think that they must then adopt those traits and those beliefs because not doing so would create a cognitive dissonance. If they see no difference between themselves and Nicki Minaj, how can they have a different opinion than her? I also think that stans take their fave's views as gospel. Everything their fave says is correct. And so if their fave supports Donald Trump or endorses the message of Turning Point USA, these decisions can't be wrong because, hey, my favorite public figure is never wrong. If my fave has a habit of going after Black people, especially Black women, then doing so must be justified because, again, my fave would never be unfair or dishonest. They always have a reason for their actions. And so I must follow in their footsteps too, and I will be justified as well. There's also the possibility that people lacking in morals tend to seek out those that lack morals as well. There are probably stans who use defending Nicki as an excuse to say and do the bigoted things they've always dreamed of. Let me kind of break it down for you using some of the comments that I got on the main Shanspeare video essay. These comments are really interesting. They have an interesting pattern going on. Some of them were straightforward in their anti-Blackness. One of them called me a darkie. Which is not even a slur I have been called down here in the South, and I have lived here for almost 27 years. Another barb called me ugly, particularly in comparison to prettier Black women. I assume they're referencing Nicki Minaj. Look, I can disregard all of that. I spend a good portion of my high school career being called dark. When I first started YouTube, people called me burnt. It's what comes with being highly visible on the internet as a Black femme. People can't touch my pen, they can't touch my intellect, they can't touch my heart or my creativity, and so they resort to their own ignorance and, preconceived notions. I can disregard all of that. Even the slur. Girl, but the worst comment I got was from this person who said, "I can tell who you date just by the hair." Bitch, fuck you. People say this when they think that you exclusively date white men. The commenter was specifically targeting my hair because I was wearing my natural hair without having my edges laid, and that means I'm whitewashed or that I only date white men and blah, 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 blah. There's definitely a conversation to be had about how edges are enforced in the Black community and how, especially for people with my hair type, some people think that coily hair only looks good when the edges are done. And contrary to the prejudiced assumptions, I have never dated a white person. Y'all keep saying. I said this in my last video and literally like 2 people, so it's not that serious, but like 2 people out of like hundreds said, well, just because you said you never dated a white person, you didn't say who you did date. Black and brown people. Do you want their social security numbers too? Or like, anyways, it's not the judgment that bothers me, because if I so had the desire to, I could turn this camera off right now, go find 20 white people down the street, Patrick Wilson, God willing, and go to town, come back here and tell you in explicit detail what I did. And I still would not entertain your judgment. I said what I said in my last video, and I'm saying it again now because I want people to realize how loudly confident yet objectively wrong their parasocial observations are. Their prejudices are eating their amygdala crazy style, similar to how the mold in J.K. Rowling's house is eating hers, and it's leading them to make assertive yet wholly delusional statements about people they don't know. The point is that the parasocial mendacity of it all can be applied to their relationships with celebrities. In an effort to defend Nicki Minaj, her stans attacked me with anti-Black, misogynistic, and fatphobic language. It actually reminds me of my ops in the manosphere. The white supremacist, violently misogynistic internet hate group. Yeah. I've gone toe-to-toe with them too. I'm like John Cena in this bitch. You can't see me. I had a manosphere bro record my entire video and react to it like a fucking film review. And he tagged me in it. I didn't see it until a year later, girl, because I actually get notifications, but they was eating my ass up in those comments. The language was identical to the language used by the Barbz. Both have attempted to deny me my femininity. They have questioned my value as a Black person. They have been condescending to me. And you know what? Let me pause the script. I notice people try to lil sis me a lot just because they're threatened by my intellect. Bitch, you can never lil sis me. All right, moving on. They have questioned my intellect and my character. One time, a manosphere bro called me an angry feminist BBW, similar to the Barb who called me a big black BBW. While the Barbs were calling me darky, manosphere bros were calling me shaniqua. Darky is also arguably way worse too, because at least shaniqua is close as fuck to my name. And both groups are adamant that I was lying about their fave. They themselves are liars. And smearing me as one protects them a little while longer from the consequences of reality. All that being said, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that Nicki Minaj is MAGA, whether that is in reality or performative. I'm not surprised that a lot of her fans are willing to be absorbed into the far right by proxy. I mean, look at the material. I'm not surprised, but I am disappointed. I'm disappointed that someone with a largely Black and queer audience can stand on a stage provided by a white supremacist, queer-phobic, and transphobic entity and make bigoted statements as easily as she does music. I'm disappointed that someone who previously spoke about the inherent violence of ICE is now vocally in support of that violence so long as she gets 15 minutes of conservative clout and a fake gold card that ensures her own safety. I'm disappointed that people are treating a life and death situation that is state-sanctioned violence as a fun day on Stan Twitter. Man, I'm disappointed that none of this is surprising because this is what I've come to expect from people with delusional attachments to power. They do what they must to maintain it, even if it's violent, even if it's hypocritical, even if it's death-creating. They will sacrifice anyone, from their community to their loved ones, even to themselves, all so that they never have to taste vulnerability. And girl, by the way, checkers or chess withstanding, the gold card is not free of charge. There is always a karmic debt to be paid.
Barbz, stay in school.